Hello, today we're going to make the fastest pendant ever. So let's get busy. So before we get started, I just wanted to show you, this is the drilled bead style pendants that I make. This one's from about 8 years ago, and I'm basing the tutorial on this type of design, starting at a beginner standpoint. We'll work up to this one later. Let's get to it. Okay, so today we're going to do a really fast wrap on a heat-treated agate bead that's center drilled. This bead measures about 38 millimeters, or roughly an inch and a half. The tools we're going to use today are side nippers, chain nose pliers, and round nose pliers. I chose copper wire. It's a 16 gauge copper wire. I chose this heavy gauge of a wire to make it a more unisex look. It'll be a clunky, chunky kind of style. Measure the amount of wire that you need that would go through the center of the bead. So that's about an inch and a half. You're going to want to triple that amount. So an inch and a half times 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 5. And then we're going to need to add double that to make our spiral. We're about 10 inches in. Straighten your wire out. This is a large hole drilled bead, perfect for 16 gauge wire. Place the wire through the bead with about an inch and a half tail up past the end of the bead. That's where we're going to make our bail. Place the round nose wires on the tail of the wire about 3/4 of the way up. Hold firmly. Push the tail away from you across the top of the tine to make the wire perpendicular. Turn your chain nose pliers up a 1/4 turn and bring the wire back around the top to form the start of your loop. Turn your chain nose pliers back up a half round, get a good grip on that loop, and push that tail underneath and back away from you, and then pull it back towards you around the top. That way you're giving it a good wrap. You may need to use your chain nose pliers to grab that tail and bring it around. Look at the work, Tish, not the camera. There you go. Good grip. And use that to go ahead and tighten up that wrap around that wire. That little end's going to be sharp, so give it a good mash right there. Right, want to feel it with your thumb to see if there's a burr on the end. Keep straightening up your work. Feels pretty smooth. Let's go one more time. I think we got it. Now push your bead back up to the top and straighten out your bail, your loop at the top. Now bring the end of your wire up, perpendicular to the bead. And then push the wire straight up across and lay it flat against the bead. The tensile strength of the big 16 gauge wire can be a little difficult to get started. You can either push down on the bead with your finger, or you can use your chain nose pliers to hold it in place. It's difficult to get it in front of the camera to where you can actually see what I'm doing. I apologize about that. But I want to start my loop about right here. So I'm going to hold it with my chain nose pliers while the bead's lying flat and start wrapping that wire around to make this loop. And now I can press down on the loop with my finger and bring the wire around to create the spiral, or I can hold it in place with my thumb and spiral the wire around. You can see I'm giving it a pretty good pull. That's because the wire has pretty good tensile strength. So keep wrapping around, making a bigger spiral with each turn, but always keep in mind you have to have enough tail to go up to wrap around the bail. I might have enough to go once more. No, I don't think so. I'm going to go back up. So I'm going to push the wire to the back and bring it around to the front and start that wrap. We're going to go around twice, and we're going to secure the wire with 2 wraps around the bail. Now I have a little bit of tail left here on the top. A couple of things I can do. I can snip it off if I want, and then use my pliers to mash it flat across there. Or I can take this wire and I can use my round nose pliers and start a spiral and make a little decoration with the tail. Sometimes it's hard to get a good grip. You get that turn started with your round nose pliers, so you got a good loop started. Then you can use your chain nose to grab and to start to form another spiral at the top with your tail. Just keep doing small turns with your chain nose pliers on the wire until you create a small spiral. Then use your chain nose pliers to push down on the wire at the top to get it more flat against the design, against the bead. Once it's in place, you may have to use the side of your pliers to go ahead and form the wire closer to the design and make it flatter against the bead. You can then adjust the placement of the spiral using the tip, and then go ahead, once you've moved it, and form it back flatter closer to the bead. It's pretty snug across there. Looks pretty good. Now this little portion of the wire here, give it a small, tiny quarter of a turn. That's going to anchor it in. It's going to be firm against the design. Then use your pliers to twist the bail perpendicular to the bead. Once you've made that change in the position of the bead or the bail, you may need to retighten the small little design at the top to get it to form back flat against the bead. And there we have it. The fastest pendant ever. Look what you made today. It's the perfect little clunky, chunky pendant. Perfect gift for anybody. Be proud of yourself. Be peaceful. Be kind. It's important. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.